I'm Paul from Alexandria Knife Sharpening and Laser Engraving, and welcome back to the channel. So what I'm going to do today is an updated channel trailer. I just want to talk to you guys about the channel, what it's about, for new people coming into the channel, help point some things out to you that will probably help you out. And for those of you who've been following me since the beginning, I'm going to give you guys a look at the new shop and where things are today and where we think things are going. For starters, if you're new to the channel, I highly recommend you go back and watch as many of the old videos as you can. And there's quite a few. There's over 100. So I know you probably won't be able to watch all of them, or probably won't even want to watch all of them. And some of the really old stuff probably isn't that great. My YouTube skills have improved, I think, quite a bit in the last few years. But it's still worth looking at because it'll give you a good insight and picture as to where you can go with knife sharpening and laser engraving. And you don't have to combine the two. And the reason I say that also is because I'm going to talk about the shop tours next, and I'm going to do 2 shop tours. So in the past, I always did a shop tour, just kind of walked around and talked about the different equipment and what it is and why I like it. Probably 1 or 2 shop tours ago, I explained how I got into the laser engraving. What I'm going to do different this time is because there's so much, and the laser engraving stuff has picked up a ton, and it deserves as much focus as the knife sharpening does. We're going to do 2 completely different tours. So tour number 1 will be just knife sharpening equipment. And then tour number 2 will be laser engraving and the laser engraving equipment. So that way, if you're only here for knife sharpening and you're not interested in laser engraving just yet, you don't have to watch it. I will say this, they combined really well together. And that's how I got into the laser engraving. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get started on either of these things. Just know that you can easily have both businesses or just one completely by itself. So the laser engraving is a great business that you can do all by itself. And the knife sharpening, tool sharpening is also another great business that you can do all by itself. Me, I do both of them at the same time, and I'll share all that with you later in those 2 videos. So I want to do one other thing. I want to point out a couple other important things and talk about a few things. I know a lot of you are real excited about starting a new business or starting a sharpening business, and I get emails regularly. And as we've grown and grown and grown and got more recognition out there and more followers, it gets harder for me to respond to everybody. So what I do ask is that before you fire off an email, especially a 2 or 3 page email asking questions, that you really take some time looking through the previous videos, because I've answered a lot of the stuff. There's very rarely a time when someone sends me a question that I'm not referring them to a particular video that already exists. So that's it. It would be very helpful if you can try and look through the previous videos to see if it's something that I've answered before or probably answers your question. The other thing I would point out to everybody is up at the top of the YouTube page, there's a section for links. And I have several links in there. One of them goes to my website, which is very worth checking out, because if you're going to have a laser engraving business or a knife sharpening business, you're going to want to have a website. Take a look at my website, check it out. But there's also some cool things that I've done on my website. In my website, I have 2 sections. One is just for knife sharpeners, and it's links to all of the things that I use in here, because that's another thing that I get asked a lot. Hey, Paul, where did you get this? Where did you get that? I try and keep it as updated as possible. It's not always perfect. If there's a bad link or something's not working anymore, feel free to fire me off a message and I'll try and get it updated or get you where you can get that particular item that you might be looking for. There's other links up there that are really important that also are things that you're going to want to know about. Like the first one that comes to mind is Curry's Custom Cutlery. Cliff Curry is where I get all of my sharpening belts from, and I highly recommend that that's where you guys get them from too. Cliff is the man when it comes to sharpening belts and all kinds of other belts too, 3M Scotch-Brite belts. And I buy a lot of gear. I would say the majority of my sharpening supplies come from Cliff, minus the things for like some of my other machines that he doesn't do. But if you're talking 1x30s or 2x42s or just about any belt sharpening machine, I buy my stuff from Cliff. And most of the other sharpeners out there also buy their stuff from Cliff. The other thing I would point you to is there is a link to the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. One of the great ways to have contact with me or be able to talk to me more easily than trying to get me on the phone. And this happens a lot too. A lot of people will text me. A lot of people will call the shop like a customer would and want to talk to me about sharpening. I just say, if you can, my first recommendation would be to join the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. It's a great place to learn sharpening. Matt Rowell, who runs it, does a fantastic job of teaching the basics of sharpening. And I am a member, and I also run the Tormek users section in the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. I try to make every monthly meeting. So the first Thursday of every new month, we have a meeting online on a Zoom call, and I try to be in there to answer people's questions and share what's going on with my shop. And it's a great place to have contact with me. And I also try and answer anything that comes through the guild if people send me messages through there. I would tell you, take a look at the guild. I think it's worth your time, and it's a very worthwhile investment, in my opinion, being a member of the guild. Even if you already know a ton about sharpening, I have learned a lot of things from other members in the guild, and they're just great resources. And you just never know, how it's going to help you out. This is a brand new shop for me here. So those of you that don't know, that are new, I just moved into this new house. Specifically, one of the reasons was because I outgrew my other shop. I'm putting a mini split heater and air conditioner in this garage, and the recommended person who's going to be doing the installation for me came from another member, a guy, Matt, who runs Potomac Sharpening right across the river from me. Matt did the same thing in his shop, and I'm using the exact same company to do mine. It was a great price, and I really appreciate him helping me out with that. And that's one of the great things about the guild, and that's one of the great things about sharpeners. We all try to help each other out. Now, that said, we all do things a little differently too, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is no only one way to sharpen. There's no only one way to do things. There's no only one piece of great of equipment. And I will tell you right now, anyone who's telling you that is not giving you good information. All right. You can sharpen with all kinds of things. You don't need a ton of equipment. It's nice to have. And just know this too, because this always comes up as well. And I just want to put this out there right in the channel trailer. I started with just one piece of gear. Okay. And I worked with that for a while, and then I added another piece of gear. And as I made money in my shop, I added more and more gear. So the things you see all around here were added over time since 2019, but all through the profits of my business. So I didn't go and just drop, $10,000 on equipment for sharpening. Some people do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this is a business that you can build and do with very limited equipment, very limited space. I worked in a one-car garage. There's plenty of guys working in a small little space in their basement. And I even know guys that sharpen in apartments. I know one of the people that I learned from initially lives in an apartment in New York City, and that's where he sharpens out of. You can make it work in just about any type of situation or amount of space that you have. It's really nice to have a lot of space, but it's not a requirement. And it's not a requirement to have tons of gear. And we'll talk about that more later when I do the tour. All right, so that's it. I hope that helps you out. And thank you for checking out the channel. Please like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. And consider joining the Guild of Professional Sharpeners. The only other thing I would say, let's talk about just rules of the channel. And I try not to be, overly involved in what people do or say or comment. But I will say this: I like it to be polite, and I like it to be positive. I don't tolerate people making fun of somebody else or any nasty comments. If you write something nasty, it will be deleted. If you make fun of somebody, it's going to be deleted. And if you are just outright rude, which doesn't happen very often, but it has happened a few times, I will just kick you off the channel. So if you're one of those people that's just coming on, to either make fun of something somebody else said or even me, every once in a while I'll get the person that says, "You're an idiot. You don't know anything about sharpening." The first thing I usually do when that happens is I go take a look to see if they have a YouTube page that has anything to do with sharpening. And if they don't, because almost 99% of the time they have zero videos or no videos or one or two videos, then they're just gone. Like, I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here to share with you what I do and how I do things. And I think it has helped a lot of people who have started their own sharpening services. And my goal is to help you not make the mistakes that I made, because I made plenty. And I will say that. So I made plenty of mistakes when I started out. I bought gear, some that wasn't that helpful, and I bought gear that was great. One of the things I've learned over the years is I would have bought it in a much different order, and I will share that with you as well. What I think is the most important thing to have, and what are just nice things to have in your shop. All right, so let's end it here. That's enough for this trailer. Once again, please like and subscribe, and have a great day.